Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Today is explanation of upcoming episode Throne of Seal based on novel. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. So let's start. Let's go. We should head back. Today won't do if we want to go to the transaction center. Long Houchen waved his hand, picking up Kia and leading the group back to the villa. Having won so many contribution points belonging to another demon hunt squad, this was obviously not a good time for them to go to the transaction center. Luke Shi's group left in great delight, feeling even more resolute to keep a good relationship with the 21st General Grade Demon Hunt Squad from now on. After Long Houchen's group returned to the villa, seeing the excited Lin Xin, Long Houchen's next words were, "From today onwards, everyone is forbidden to leave the villa. It's self-training for the next 10 days. Lin Xin started, "Boss, why so serious?" Long Houchen coldly swept a glance at him. "If not for your betting stands, we wouldn't have to get this serious." Han Yu reacted. It was the general grade and soldier grade demon hunt squads that participated in the bets that were laid. It seemed as if we cheated everyone else, and to them, 1,000 contribution points is quite a huge number. Demon hunt squads should treat each other as friends, not enemies. The offense we committed was too heavy. I'm really afraid that we are going to get isolated for that. Chen Yinga seemed unsatisfied. So it means it's okay if they win, but not if we are the ones to win. Long Houchen replied, although it won't be as severe between the new demon hunt squads like us, we should still stay low-key for now. Otherwise, being isolated won't feel good to us. To put it simply, if all demon hunters stopped selling things to us, don't you think we would get affected? Long Houchen looked at the whole group, declaring, and what if we add up the Holy Spirit pills? Now that we are in possession of 300,000 contribution points, considering that those Holy Spirit pills cost 10,000 each, all of us should have the chance to take one. And the earlier it is taken, the more effective it will be. It's perfectly suited to our current situation. Lin Xin smiled bitterly, "Boss, I know what you mean. But my previous statement already took the Holy Spirit pills into account. Each Holy Spirit pill will enable our spiritual energy to rise over 3,000 units, but I'm afraid that aiming for 4,000 units during the span of half a year will be very challenging. Moreover, I heard that the bottleneck between the 5th and the 6th step is a lot more challenging to pass than the previous ones. There are many people who stay at this bottleneck for several years without being able to break through it. How could we do it so easily?" Long Houchen went silent, seemingly pondering over something. Everyone was struck by Lin Xin's words, and Sima Xian hurried to declare, "Boss, there's no problem for us to train for a period of 6 months, and we'd progress as much as we can. Anyway, with so many contribution points in our possession, there won't be any problem for us to wait for Vice Captain to recover before going on the next mission." Long Houchen shook his head. "I have over 70% certainty that we can break through to the 6th step within a period of half a year. I've been thinking about it, and finally decided to share this information with you. However, I hope everyone will keep this secret. Otherwise, in case this gets out, it will give rise to great complications, and probably cause a public panic. If this happens, our demon hunt squad won't be able to keep existing." Everyone's face immediately lost color at hearing this. Although Long Houchen's words were always reasonable, since he took such a serious tone, this could only be a very serious matter. Sima Xian looked pressed, and couldn't help but ask, "Boss, what is it about in the end?" Wan Yuan, who didn't mutter a single word until then, suddenly raised her head, and asked, "Could it be related to the desolate hissing cavern, that tower?" Long Houchen silently nodded. Han Yu took a deep breath, "Boss, I heard grandfather say that this tower was," at this point, his words suddenly came to a stop, but with a resolute voice, he kept going, "I swear that I won't leak out whatever secret master tells us on this day. May heavenly punishment fall upon me, forbidding me eternally from reincarnating if I break this oath." The others also understood the gravity of the situation, and all of them aside from Kia swore an oath. They all realized the seriousness of this matter, while feeling the possibilities Long Houchen's words promised. Looking at everyone around him, Long Houchen said in a stern tone, like Yuan guessed, "I'm speaking about that tower. In fact, I had to tell a lie to Luke 11 as well as the Alliance. With Hao Yue's help, I made it into this tower, and discovered in it a great secret. This tower is called Tower of Eternal Rest. As he said so, he untied the front piece of his jacket, revealing the pendant of eternal melody on his chest. The Tower of Eternal Rest, known as Tower of Eternity, is something left 10,000 years ago by a necromancer called Elux. This necromancer claims the title of Holy Necromancer and Slumbering Calamity. And this Tower of Eternity is filled with a powerful aura of death. Just like the Saint Knight Head Han Qian said, their team could be called a complete team of princes and princesses, thus their knowledge was naturally a lot better than that of other people. Hearing the word necromancer from Long Houchen's own mouth, everyone couldn't help but stare blankly. In the depths of their brains, a legend covered in dust seemed to instantly be recalled. The words necromancer gave too great a shock to everyone from this 21st General Grade Demon Hunt Squad. Their faces seemed to be completely filled with surprise. Long Houchen released a holy mantle, isolating the room from the external world. Inside this safe area, he told them about the true details about his experiences inside the Tower of Eternity. Since he already made this decision, he didn't conceal anything from them. This whole process didn't take long. In less than half an hour's time, Long Houchen told them everything that really happened inside the desolate hissing cavern, including the most minute details. In this quiet villa isolated from the external sounds, Long Houchen's story not only brought them a lot of surprises, but also widened their horizons. The little detail about this holy necromancer Elux actually turning out to possess the holy light element caused them to be in a state of utter shock. How could necromancers be affiliated with the holy light element? Long Houchen stayed silent after telling his story. He knew that his comrades would need some time to digest it. After nearly a quarter of an hour, Lin Shin finally asked in an insipid voice, "Boss, are you planning on carrying on this necromancer's inheritance?" Long Houchen shook his head, "Of course not. Regardless of whichever attribute they use, they are in the end necromancers that formerly brought this great calamity to humanity. If not for them, we wouldn't be having such difficulties to confront the demon race. How could I accept to learn the abilities used by those necromancers?" "Boss, I think those words may be wrong." Sima Xian continued, "Bad deeds are committed by people and aren't related to their abilities. Even our current abilities could be used to kill people, couldn't they? Necromancers were an evil group, but if their abilities could be used for the right thing too. For example, to handle demons, I believe that there would be nothing wrong with that. Since this holy necromancer chose you as his successor, I believe you shouldn't let such a good occasion slip by. As long as it can help us exterminate the demons, what's the problem?" "We can't." Han Yu eagerly intercepted, "Sima, don't come up with such a rotten idea. Although what you said makes sense, necromancers are in the end completely rejected by our alliance. If Captain were to learn necromancy, the alliance would definitely not accept it. Captain is the sign of light. The future hope of our Knight Temple lies with him. He will inevitably become a divine knight in the future. Don't tell me you believe that divine knights could be weaker than necromancers." Chen Ying's mouth twitched. "How about just not letting the alliance know about it? I don't see any problem with having one more asset to our strength. Like it could be rarely seen." Wang Yuanyuan opposed to this idea. "I agree with Han Yu. After all, we are living in the alliance, and with Captain's dispositions, not learning necromancy won't affect his future growth, so we should rather not take risks." 2 against 2. All looks unawarely wandered in Lin Shin's direction. "Don't look at me, I'm neutral on the subject. I'll just support Captain in his choice whatever it is." Lin Shin spread out his hands with an indifferent face. Long Houchen smiled in response, "Okay, since things are like this, let us set the training in the Tower of Eternity as our primary goal. However, before this, everyone's strength will need to be raised as much as possible. The first floor of the Tower of Eternity is already directed at powerhouses of the 6th step, and although we are forming a team, it's still hard to tell which challenges we will be meeting. For your own safety, we should at least let your strength progress first. Yuan, you will go to the transaction center by 7 Holy Spirit pills that can increase our spiritual energy by 1,000 in 10 days. You will all take one, and during the subsequent period, everyone is to approach the progress of their respective spiritual energy in consideration of their faculty of understanding, to make it really become a part of your strength. We have enough contribution points, so everyone should at least buy 2 pieces of equipment at the glorious tier. After your equipment is improved, we will finally be ready to enter the Tower of Eternity to start our training. As for the rest, it will depend on the results we obtain inside the tower. Lin Xin looked anxious. Boss, aren't pieces of glorious tier equipment a bit too expensive? Even the most average ones are worth 5,000 contribution points. Long Haochen chuckled in response. What a money grubber you are. Although glorious equipment is quite costly, its effects are a lot stronger than spiritual tier equipment. If we can raise to the 6th step, spiritual tier equipment will be of limited use to us. But we'll be able to use glorious tier equipment at least until the 7th step. Although our finances don't allow us to be equipped entirely, it should be okay to get 2 pieces of equipment for each of us. Your Fire Cloud Crystal Staff is already good enough, but if it needs an upgrade you can exchange it. There are also specialized refineries at the side of the center, so we will take care of everything on the same occasion. Lin Xin said with a sigh, it looks like our supply of contribution points isn't going to last for long. Wang Yuan reacted unhappily, what a Scrooge you are. We are a demon hunt squad, so earning contribution points is supposed to be for raising our strength. Earning contribution points is only meaningful if it enables us to improve. Come on, transfer your contribution points. After making use of the Holy Spirit pills, the 3 of them immediately entered their closed-door training, raising their own strength as they absorbed the medicine. Ordinarily, 7 days were needed to absorb this Holy Spirit pill, but Long Haochen's instruction was to stay training in seclusion for at least half a month. This way they could have a better comprehension of their spiritual energy after the increase. Over the following month, the 4 others also received their Holy Spirit pills. Outside of the villa appeared a board with the words, "Do not disturb," because aside from Long Haochen, all the 7 members of the 21st General Grade Demon Hunt Squad were in a state of secluded meditation. Long Haochen also trained in seclusion, but didn't take the Holy Spirit pill yet. This was for the simple reason that his spiritual energy had already reached the peak of the 5th step in this short period, and that he started to aim for passing the bottleneck of the 6th step. This Holy Spirit pill would have to wait for him to break past it to be of use. As he became more and more familiar with the pendant of eternal melody, Haochen discovered more of its secrets. Although so far, he could only use its supportive effects, he came to realize that because his cultivation level was currently insufficient, he was unable to completely exploit the eternal melody's abilities. But even so, the eternal melody's effects were quite good. With such a formidable piece of equipment, the light essence surrounding Long Haochen's body was multiplied by 3 times compared to normal. And more mysteriously, this eternal melody made this light essence become purer, giving an incredible boost to Long Haochen's cultivation. Further adding the help of the light elemental fairy Yating, he was certain that his current cultivation speed was at least 5 times faster than that of an ordinary knight. Otherwise, he couldn't possibly have taken just a little more than a month to raise his spiritual energy from 3,700 to 4,000. And now, he was battling against the bottleneck of the 6th step. They temporarily didn't go to buy equipment, because it wouldn't be of use to them at the moment. The most important thing was to raise their cultivation. Having gone through many challenging battles, all of the youths from the 21st General Grade Demon Hunt Squad had some progress in their cultivation. First of all, Cai's internal spiritual energy already reached 3,700 after taking the Holy Spirit pill, and she was at most merely a few months away from reaching the bottleneck, just like Long Haochen. Even the weakest of them, Chen Yinga, reached an approximate spiritual energy level of 3,200. For the first time, they enjoyed the benefits of their amassed contribution points. In fact, newly formed demon hunt squads that could, like them, afford to take 7 Holy Spirit pills at once were extremely rare. Of course, it was now the case for another one, which was the incomparably profiteering 4th Soldier Grade Demon Hunt Squad. They were also training behind closed doors, after Long Haochen placed an order of 6 Holy Spirit pills for them, which took about a month to arrive. Meanwhile, they weren't the 4th Soldier Grade Demon Hunt Squad anymore, but the new 22nd General Grade Demon Hunt Squad. In the blink of an eye, 3 months passed and everyone returned from their secluded training, their spiritual energy reaching a completely new level. After 3 months, Kia's internal spiritual energy had risen to 3,850, and Han Yu's to 3,670. Sima Xian's reached a number of more than 3,500 by relying on his new internal spiritual energy level of 80, but Wang Yuan, whose spiritual energy also broke past 3,500, was still a bit ahead of him. Lin Xin was at 3,660, and Chen Yinga was at 3,320. The whole team had successfully reached the 7th rank of the 5th step. However, during those 3 months, Long Haochen didn't manage to break through to the 6th step, and was still at the bottleneck between the 5th and the 6th step. This was naturally not because he wasn't mustering enough effort, but because his attention was constantly being diverted. Every time he entered into a state of meditation, the memories he acquired from the Tower of Eternity would naturally flow into his mind, interrupting him every time. This was something that he couldn't control even if he wanted to, thus he was unable to focus on his training in such a state. Of course, Long Haochen wasn't willing to learn necromancy, but during the first month of seclusion, he was constantly struggling against himself. In the end, he still had to yield, because if he didn't accept to learn this necromancy magic, he wouldn't be able to cultivate at all, and would probably never break through his bottleneck. Breaking through a bottleneck required him to concentrate his attention completely on the matter at hand, but with those memories bursting forth and bothering him intentionally, how could he focus his attention? Completely helpless, Long Haochen could only accept this reality reluctantly. By chance, the memories that the Tower of Eternity forced into him weren't painful, and as long as he was willing to learn a skill or study a mystery, they would temporarily stop appearing. From the looks of it, Elux wanted him to master the subject via a comprehensive study of surrounding areas. Long Haochen had never thought that such a severe teacher would one day be entering his consciousness. But what could he do about it? Unable to resist, he could only bear with it. During the 2nd month, he patiently tried to break past this bottleneck, but the difficulty of reaching the 6th step from the 5th was truly astonishing. Through the saint's spiritual stove, he felt that his spiritual cavities had already started to take shape, and that he was just a tiny step away. Long Haochen continuously went through the cycle of using storing power and attacking, using storing power and attacking. But he still didn't succeed in breaking through this bottleneck. But right at that time, their closed-door training was forcefully interrupted. Urgent news arrived from the side of the Demon Hunt Mission Tower, regarding a compulsory war mission. All the Demon Hunt squads staying in Holy City had to participate in it. If they wouldn't, 10,000 contribution points would be taken from each member of a general grade squad as a penalty, and the higher the grade, the greater would this penalty be. This sort of war mission was an extremely rare occurrence, only happening at times when the Alliance was facing a big crisis, forcing them to issue a compulsory marching order. The price for those who didn't want to participate would be considerable. Although Long Haochen's team was rich enough to afford this penalty, this would still be a penalty of 60,000 contribution points. Though the retainer knight Hanyu didn't have to be counted in, this was still something they were unwilling to bear. After discussing it with his comrades, Long Haochen proceeded towards the mission tower to accept this mission, which gave 3 days to all Demon Hunt squads to rest and reorganize. Though, the precise details of the mission had yet to be made known to the public. The 7 members of the 21st Demon Hunt squad gathered in the lounge of the villa. Saimashin revealed a malicious smile. War missions are also good. My cultivation level has just greatly increased. It's the perfect time to try it out against those little demons. As he said this, he showed off his arms musculature with a big gesture. Long Haochen spoke, since everyone is present, let us move on. Lin Xin, what is our total amount of contribution points? Lin Xin didn't need to check and directly gave an answer. We have still 245,823 contribution points left. I sold the magical crystals and demon corpses we brought back that weren't of use to us, which increased our amount of contribution points again. Long Haochen nodded, all good. Then, it is the time to proceed for the transaction center. We will have to head out for this war mission soon, and this time. I'm afraid its level of difficulty and danger should be no lower than that of the desolate hissing cavern. We shouldn't insist on saving money, as we will only need 100,000 contribution points to promote our Demon Hunt squad's grade. We should try to use up the leftover 150,000 contribution points today. After arriving at the center, look for the equipment you'll need for yourself, everyone. We will limit ourselves to the glorious tier and above. If there is something you want, inform Lin Xin immediately. There's no need to inform me, just directly buy it. Lin Xin, you are in charge of checking on what they picked. Everyone should at least find one piece glorious equipment fitting himself. We cannot be stingy with our money at such a time. Don't forget to buy stuff fitting for yourselves, understood everyone? Yes, Captain. Everyone except from Kia replied in a loud voice. Who would be unwilling to buy powerful equipment? Even at the glorious tier, 160,000 contribution points would be enough to buy over a dozen quality goods. This was one of the benefits of their many contribution points. After accepting the mission, Long Houchen's immediate decision to look for equipment to buy was the best choice. Their Demon Hunt squad would obviously not be the only one in need of equipment, and the other teams were definitely about to do the same to increase their strength. Being a step ahead would offer them a larger choice. We have 42 great recovery pills, 25 bloodthirsty and spiritual bursting pills. Also we have the two types of pills I have created recently, the energetical pill, and the other is called Pill of Ferocity. I used the Grand Fiend's magical crystals and their materials to make conjoined spiritual boosting pills, which can connect the user's spiritual energies for a certain time. When the spiritual energy pours into each other, it will change into the attribute of the specific user. It's just like the Great Fiend Cavalry's conjoined attacks, but the duration will be limited to 3 minutes. And this thing was really costly to do, so I have only been able to make 2 batches of 7 of it, enabling us to use it twice. Considering our current strength, when the 7 of us enter in a conjoined mode, our spiritual energy should surpass 20,000, enabling us to be a match to some extent for a powerhouse of the 8th step. Long Houchen asked with doubts, but what if, after using these conjoined spiritual pills, the one who gathers everyone else's spiritual energy cannot bear this massive pressure? Lin Xin complacently replied, I've already thought of this. Through these pills, I managed to solve this problem that even the fiends themselves didn't manage to solve. It touches upon how to take the conjoined pills. When the one who gathers the spiritual energy takes his conjoined spiritual boosting pill, he should at the same time take an energetical pill, strengthening his body to a great extent, which will naturally increase his capability to launch stronger attacks. Furthermore, these conjoined spiritual boosting pills won't put the whole burden on a single person out of the 7 of us. And the one in charge of gathering it will only receive power according to his own body's limits. For instance, considering your ability boss, there should be no problem for you to reach a total of 10,000 units of spiritual energy after taking one of my energetic pills. Though battling against an opponent at the 8th step was mere drivel, there should be no problem to put up a fight against one at the 7th step. Seeing his proud face, Long Houchen couldn't help but reveal a smile. It looks that your narcissism has its basis. Though I don't really like to praise you, I really have no choice but to say that you are a real genius. Ha ha ha, that's a matter of course. Just as expected, after being praised, someone immediately became so pleased as to lose his sense of measure. Sima Xian interrupted him, has drug bro, take attention, Li Xin is coming. Where is she, where? Lin Xin suddenly exercised restraint, quitting his previous arrogant state to look more reasonable and appealing. Scrutinizing the surroundings, he looked for Li Xin's figure. Lin Xin snorted twice successively, then that's just like me. Sima Xian replied, but haven't you just been threatening people? If you make fake drugs for me to take, I may have a nice chat about it with Li Xin. On the basis of your flashy appearance, how about trying to see whether Li Xin would believe it if I made up a story about one of your ex-girlfriends? You? Okay, you win this time. Bro is terrified. Lin Xin revealed an indignant expression, finally stopping to pay attention to Sima Xian. Seeing his current face, the others couldn't help but have a good laugh. Speaking of it, boss, after Luke 11 heard that I could make the conjoined boosting pills, he expressed his desire to buy a batch of them for 1,000 contribution points, providing his own materials. Tell me, should I accept or not? Long Houchen asked, how long would you need to make these pills? Lin Xin replied, about 10 days. During our trip from Holy City to the battlefield, we should be traveling on horseback, and I should have the time to make them. I'm just unable to guarantee that I'll definitely be successful. Long Houchen gave his response with a nod, then let's give it a try. Individual strength is negligible on the battlefield, thus having another familiar team around to which they could trust their backs was definitely a good thing. Plus, this could only increase the chance of survival for both of their teams. And during those 3 months of self-training, Luke Shi's strength also increased quite dramatically. Although it could still not compare with Long Houchen's group, in regard to the fact that Long Houchen's group still had yet to break through to the 6th step, the gap between them had truly narrowed over this period. Of course, this was considering that Long Houchen's group had yet to purchase new equipment. As they finished talking to each other, they arrived at the transaction center. After entering, they immediately headed to the second floor. Although the first floor also contained some precious equipment, it was too few in number. But at the second floor, at least half of the sold equipment was at the glorious tier. It was just that the total quantity of equipment sold there was lower than at the first floor. Showing their general grade insignia, the 7 passed through the guards of the second floor, and for the sake of saving time, they immediately dispersed, in search for equipment fitting themselves. Everyone had different needs for equipment. Among them, the one who was the least in need for new equipment with supplementary effects was Chen Yinga, who had been mainly relying on her contracted beast's ability ever since she got it. But she was unsure as for how to strengthen this little pig. Seeing them approach the sales counter, the staff member of the transaction center welcomed them respectfully. "Hello, how may I help you?" After thinking for a bit, Long Houchen replied, "I want to buy an armor at the glorious tier usable for assassins, as well as accessory equipment for assassins." The staff member nodded and replied, "Please wait a moment." Afterwards, he turned around, walked inside a separated area, and came back a moment later with a thick file in his hand. "Respected Demon Hunter, I just checked a moment ago and found 4 armors in accordance to your criterias, and 3 accessories. Please pick your choices." After this was said, he opened the thick file, rapidly turning the pages, on which a detailed presentations of the armors and goods could be seen. Long Houchen took Caia's hand, looking at those presentations as he wrote some words on her palm. Each of the 4 armors had particular features, placing emphasis on different aspects. The first mainly attached importance to raising one's spiritual energy, but was more fitting to assassins using the fire element, as a gem of the fire attribute was inlaid in it. Kia's attribute was very particular. She was not a user of the fire attribute, but was more accurately a user of the destruction attribute and the death attribute. This was a change that the dagger of Samsara produced in her, making this elemental armor unsuited for her. Among the other 3, another one had the same problem, which eliminated it as possible choice. Among the last 2 armors, one increased defense and enabled the user to use his own spiritual energy for protection, producing a defensive power comparable to an elemental shield. In addition, it had an ability called hardness. The chest, the belly and the back's crucial parts, could at least bear 3 attacks of powerhouses of the 6th step while staying undamaged. The other one increased the assassin's offensive power, boosting one's rate of spiritual energy gathering. Although it only reinforced this aspect, through the fact that it was classified as glorious tier equipment, the efficiency of this spiritual energy gathering could be appropriately valued. It would boost an assassin's offensive power by a factor of 2 or 3/10. After telling Caia about the 2 types of equipment, the 2 came to an disagreement. Long Houchen was inclined towards the hardness armor, whereas Kia preferred the spiritual gathering armor. Because Kia could neither hear nor see, the exchange between the 2 of them happened as they wrote on each other's palms. Just as they were arguing with each other, a gentle voice suddenly sounded from behind them. "Excuse me, are you Captain Long?" Long Houchen turned his head, seeing a youth, who was several years older than him. Judging based on his appearance, he was probably 27 or 28 years old. This young man was tall, at least a head taller than Long Houchen, which made him already close to Sima Xian in height, since even though Long Houchen wasn't fully grown yet, he was still close to 1.8 meter in height. But he didn't look as imposing as Sima Xian. Having broad shoulders and a broad back, standing in a straight posture, he still carried a gentle and elegant atmosphere. 2 people came in front of him, somewhat unwilling. Seeing Long Houchen, their expressions were clearly unsightly. They were precisely the 5th brother and 6th sister from the 8th General Grade Demon Hunt Squad. Zhong Fangfang gave them a meaningful glance, and those 2 bowed to salute Long Houchen, and the 5th brother revealed a bitter smile. "Sorry, Captain Long, we shouldn't have attempted to cheat you. We were in the wrong. We pledge that this won't happen ever again, so please excuse us." Long Houchen shook his head. "The matter is already in the past, and you are the ones who suffered the most from it. How could the 2 of you be the ones to apologize?" Zhong Fangfang replied, "No, we had to apologize to you no matter what. I originally planned on coming to see Captain Long a lot earlier, but seeing the sign that you were training behind closed doors, we waited for this moment. About the contribution points they lost, it was their deserved punishment, but this was also my fault for not having raised them better. As their captain, I cannot shrink from my responsibility. I have to apologize once again to Captain Long. As he said this, he bowed to Long Houchen, but looked a lot more serious than the fifth brother and his sixth sister, literally bending over at 90 degrees. This attitude immediately changed Long Houchen's impression of the 8th General Grade Demon Hunt Squad greatly. Hurriedly supporting Zhong Fangfang with his hand, he declared, "Captain Zhong, please don't be like that. This matter is already over." Zhong Fangfang straightened his posture, and said with a sigh, "I'm not worried of Captain Long's mocking. I'm afraid our Demon Hunt Squad could be considered the most out of luck in history. In the past, shortly after we formed our team, we were cheated by another Demon Hunt Squad in the same way they tried to use on you. It was a very important amount of 5,000 contribution points that we lost from that incident, which almost caused us to fall apart. After getting back on the right track with a lot of difficulty, such a thing actually happened. To be frank, I wanted to quit the position as captain at multiple times, but after spending such a long time together with my comrades, everyone felt affection for this squad. How could I really abandon it so easily? Please don't bear grudges for their actions. I have already lectured them on it." Long Houchen came to a sudden realization. So actually, they had been cheated like this in the past. Although his impression towards the fifth brother and the sixth sister wasn't good, he had a good opinion of this Captain Zhong. If it was just him, maybe he would have returned those contribution points, but he was now the captain of a Demon Hunt Squad, who had to take his comrades' interest into consideration, so he naturally couldn't bring himself to do this. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.